Thank you so much for having me. I know this looks kind of weird and shady. I'm in an alley behind a restaurant where I just left a meeting, but I really wanted to be with you tonight. I figured it was better to have a little bit of dimly lit video on than nothing. But listen, this is as important as it gets. And I am so excited for what Fair Share is doing to organize people all around the country. This is nothing less than outright theft. 8 years ago, when the Trump tax cut was pushed through with only Republican votes, it was a terrible piece of legislation with 85% of the benefits, when fully implemented, going to the top 1%. They promised it would result in $4,000 worth of income gain for middle class taxpayers. The studies after fully implemented showed that that number was zero. It was the top 1% that got all of the benefit. That bill was all borrowed, meaning that it was just put on a credit card that ultimately middle class families are going to have to pay. This version of the tax cut is even worse because it's the same table scraps for poor people and the middle class. The tax benefit is still going to be 800 times bigger for the very wealthy than for everybody else in this country. But this time around, it's not bad enough to just put it on our credit card. This time around, they're talking about gutting services for you and me, for our parents, for our kids. They're talking about massive cuts to Medicaid, the program that pays for our parents and our grandparents to be in nursing homes. They're talking about cuts to Medicare. They're talking about gutting the Affordable Care Act, which pays for health insurance for 20 million working Americans. They're talking about going after nutrition benefits. It's a massive theft of resources from the middle class and to the poor to fund another tax cut for the very, very wealthy. And of course, it stands next to what has been going on inside this administration for the first 3 weeks, which is a handover of our entire government to the billionaire class, giving Elon Musk access to our most sensitive personal data, allowing him to corrupt foreign policy in order to make more money for himself. This is an oligarchy combined with a kleptocracy. The idea that the very elites will run and rule, and they will steal from us in order to pad their pockets. Now, I was around in 2017. This was their second priority. Their first priority in 2017 was the repeal of the Affordable Care Act. They failed. They failed for one reason only, because we mobilized. Because millions of people all across this country decided to stand up with one voice and say, no, you are not taking our health care away. This is their number one priority this time around. This billionaire and corporate tax cut paid for by an absolute evisceration of programs that help ordinary Americans. The only power we have to stop this is mobilization, right? It doesn't matter how loud my voice is. It doesn't matter how smart my arguments are. I mean nothing unless we mobilize with ferocity, with huge numbers all across this country. We've done it before. I was there. We stopped the Affordable Care Act when nobody thought that it was possible. And we have to do the same thing again this time. So I know that these guys engage in a blizzard of hate and disruption and division every single day. Their intention is to try to make you feel powerless. Their intention is to try to make you focus on other parts of your life that are important. But if we don't stand up and fight at this moment to stop the handover of our government, the handover of the programs that matter to us, to the billionaire class and to the corporations, then democracy itself is on the edge. If we win this fight, right, if we mobilize around this fight, then we have a fighting chance, A, to defeat them, and a fighting chance to preserve our democracy. So I just am so excited to be here with you tonight. I wanted to make sure that I could hop out in the, increasingly cold weather tonight to just make sure to tell you that our ability to win this inside the Senate and inside the House is tied intimately to your ability to organize, to step up and speak out and find other friends who will join this fight. This is the most important fight I've ever been a part of. I've been in politics for 25 years, and this fight to stop the handover of our government to the wealthy, to the oligarchy, this fight to save our democracy, this is existential. It is existential, and I'm so glad that we have this massive, powerful coalition stepping up, and that you're agreeing to be a part of it by being a part of this call tonight. So thank you so much for letting me join in.